episode 276 of the Very Sunday Podcast. I am your host, Matt Harmon, joined live from the Vault Studio, the beautiful campus of Grace College and Grace Theological Seminary, by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, the man who is preparing for board meetings.
Oh, the board meetings are next week.
John Scott Sloat.
They're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming fast.
Yeah. I mean, we know of at least one board member who listens to the program.
Yes. At least
Do
one.
you suspect there are more?
I could see one or two others dipping in and out. I don't think there's anybody as faithful as that one board member.
No. Definitely not. Yeah. So what does the prep for that look like for you?
I have 1 hour at the board meetings, and I just have to be able to field any question they ask me about anything related to my area. So, the prep, part of the prep is the board's broken into these different commissions.
Yep.
And so on the first day, you have a meeting with your commission of board meetings. And before that, I have a Zoom call tomorrow with my commission to prep our commission meeting.
Okay.
So there's like 2 meetings, and then there's a big presentation.
Multi-layered here.
Yes. And I have a ton of motions in this board meeting, so I will have a ton, 3 to 4. Nothing like finance. Finance is like they over motion in some aspects, and they start rolling out motions, and it creates conversation about, does this really need to be a motion? It's always an interesting, like, oh my goodness.
Are you at liberty to give us an example of a motion?
Setting the price for tuition.
Okay.
For the upcoming school year.
I see. So that's a motion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Wow.
That would be a finance motion.
Right. Okay. Not in your commission.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And we're enjoying, as we record on this lovely Monday afternoon.
I know temperatures are going to drop tomorrow. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. By the time this episode drops, it'll be
But
back.
the weekend was quite nice.
It was.
Saturday was very sunny.
Yeah.
Good day to be outside, right around upper 50s, 60 degrees.
For sure. Well, if you would like to contact the show and suggest to John a motion that he could bring as part of his commission at the board meetings, you can contact the show.
I like that.
On X at VNSPod. Email the show, varioussundarypodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and on YouTube, and we would love for you to leave a 5-star rating. How do we settle in 5? Like, not us personally, but like that's like the gold standard, right? Like,
yeah,
basically that's the, like you look on like Amazon, like books. They go on a 5-star system, or products go on a 5-star system on Amazon, right?
Is that because of the fingers? You have 5 fingers?
I don't know.
On a hand? Obviously, you have 2 hands.
I have no idea. I've never correlated it to the number of digits on a hand.
Yeah, that's what I would correlate it to, but I really have no idea.
I don't know.
10 feels like too many.
Yeah. Though, again, you like the flexibility, right? Is it a 3.5-star thing, or is it a 4-star thing? Is it a 3-star thing? Like,
yeah,
get a little more flexibility with that. I don't know.
Well, and then you have some breaking the mold. In Dubai, there's a 6-star hotel.
Is that because it's just so over the top compared to what
It's Dubai.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a 5-star hotel, and even those, feels like there's still a pretty big range within 5-star hotels.
Yeah.
In the States.
These are rumors I heard about the 6-star hotel in Dubai. I obviously never stayed there, but I was told like each room comes with a rental Rolls Royce, and each room comes with its own a butler, manservant person.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can expense that to the institution, right?
Yes, for all the travel I do to Dubai.
You've been to Dubai.
Yes, one time.
As part of something affiliated with Grace?
That's true. That's true. I stayed in an Airbnb with, 10 other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. All right, John, let's talk some sports. So,
Already? Alrighty?
I thought you said already. I'm like, I mean, do you want to talk more about Dubai's hotel structure?
I would love it, yeah.
So, sports it is. Did you watch any of the final round of the Masters?
I was following it on social media, so I was watching clips and things like that, but I did not click it on the television.
Phenomenal drama.
Well, yeah, I was following
Phenomenal.
it. It was incredible.
Phenomenal. I had not watched any of the Masters until I turned it on basically Sunday afternoon and saw I learned a little tidbit here. They don't call it the back nine at Augusta.
Oh, what do they call it?
The second nine.
Oh, the second nine.
Apparently there's some like I forget, one of the broadcasters in a separate interview was talking about how you get rebuked if you call it the back nine.
Does that imply there's a third nine?
I don't know. Yeah, second nine or I don't know. Anyway,
I love the pageantry of Augusta.
Yes. So it was. Going into the second nine, Rory had a solid lead there.
What, 2, 3?
Had a 3-stroke lead at one point.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And was it 12 he fell apart a little bit?
He fell apart on 13, and then so 13 is the par 5. And he was up 3 strokes. He plays it conservative, so he plays back to lay up to give himself a very easy wedge into the green. And he chunks the wedge into the water. Like the whole reason that he played back was to not hit the ball into the water. And he chunks the wedge right into the water. And ends up with I think he had a double bogey on that hole. And so like he went from leading by 3 to a point where he was actually down a stroke. And he manages to birdie, I think it was 17.
Well,
17, I think it was.
And how long ago was it that he was at the Masters and was leading and then just collapsed?
It was either a year ago or 2 years ago where he had like pretty epic collapse.
Oh, yeah. And a couple years ago was not his first. I was thinking like 5 to 7 years ago he had a pretty epic collapse as well.
Yeah. So it was just remarkable. And so he ends up in a playoff, and he misses. He had a putt on 18 in regulation that couldn't have been more than 4 feet.
To par it, right?
To par the hole
and win
the tournament, and he missed it. And like, not like, oh, it kind of lipped out. Like he missed the hole from 4 feet.
Yeah,
like didn't even graze the edge of the cup. So he was clearly in his own head.
However, kept his composure. And on the first playoff hole, right? I mean, it was the first one, came back and birdied.
Yeah. Yeah, and credit to Justin Rose for getting into he holed like a 30-foot putt on 18 to birdie to get to 11 under. And fascinating.
Well, I imagine Rory feels some relief getting that monkey off his back of Augusta.
Yeah. And I think, part of it is it wasn't just trying to win the Masters, which is hard enough, but it was the career Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. He becomes only the 5th player in golf history to win all 4 majors.
Yeah, Tiger, Jack, Arnold Palmer. Did he have it?
I don't think Palmer did it.
Okay.
I think it was 2 other people that I
Gary Player, maybe.
I don't know.
You don't think so? Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was at least one player. I'm like, I don't know that I know who that is, kind of thing. But high drama. I mean, Augusta, the golf course there is just breathtaking. Watching it on TV, it's just a beautiful setting. And congrats to Rory.
Yeah, Northern Ireland, right?
That's right.
Hmm.
So,
Protestant spot in Ireland.
But again, just great drama, great television.
Mm-hmm.
Even though my wife doesn't care a lick about golf, she was getting into the drama of it. Of like, what happened? Wait, does that he's dropping a stroke? Like, wait, like she was like engaged in it because of the drama. So, we do have a little housekeeping matter from last week. We can confirm that Blake Burns won
yeah.
the bracket challenge for our NCAA tournament competition.
By a margin.
Yeah. It was as dominant a performance as we've seen in the bracket competition.
Yeah. Is Blake a regular listener? Or did he?
I think semi-regular.
Okay. Like checks out the episode title and
maybe he's kind of a pop-in.
Okay.
He likes the pop-in, like Kramer.
Yeah.
So yes, he. I have given him his signed copy of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you give him, or what did he want?
He asked for a copy of The Servant of the Lord and His Servant People.
Oh, nice.
So I signed it and gave it to him.
Nice.
It's convenient that he's in my New Testament theology class right now. So
yeah, that's probably
the shipping.
The quickest we've ever delivered.
Yeah, probably. I think so. You want to talk a little baseball?
I'd love to. What would you like to know?
Well, let's start with the Mets.
Mets are doing well. They have not lost back-to-back games this season. Okay. That's probably the headline for the season right now is we have not lost back-to-back games. We went on a 6-7 game winning streak in the middle there. We just took 2 of 3 from the Athletics, who are playing in Sacramento.
Yeah,
at a minor league ballpark.
Yep.
It kind of feels like a spring training game because there's like the berms out there that people are sitting on. You know, yeah. You're like, what's going on out there?
Because they're moving to Vegas, right?
That's correct. But I think they're doing 2 years in Sacramento to get the Vegas stadium ready to go.
Is anybody showing up to those games in Sacramento?
They're pretty packed.
Are they?
I mean,
the stadium's small.
When you only hold what 15. Maybe probably less, maybe 10,000.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not that hard to get that many people out. A lot of Mets fans there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it was. There were a couple of minor league moments. So the clubhouse for the teams is not behind the dugout, like they are in every major league stadium.
Right.
They're in the outfield.
All right.
And so if you're a DH and you want to go. Hit balls in between innings, you got to go through the outfield and run out to the outfield to get to the clubhouse to do that.
Like through the field of play outfield?
Yes. You do it in between innings.
Right.
But and then so you saw the designated hitter run out there with his bat or whatever. And then there were a couple other things. So there was a Mets player named Jose Siri who fouled a ball off his own knee. And went down and was writhing in pain. Mm-hmm. They carried him off the field to the dugout, and then in between innings brought a golf cart over, two golf carts, to like take him to the medical facility in the clubhouse. That of course was in the outfield.
Right.
Well, he gets on one and they drive him out to the clubhouse. Well, the other golf cart was I think bringing supplies maybe or doing something. They're driving it out there. It dies halfway to the clubhouse. And here's all these A's grounds crew guys pushing this thing, and it's more like a gator than a golf cart. Okay. It's a heavy duty.
Right.
So they're pushing this thing. It's a hot mess. And then they miss no one's driving, and so they run it into the wall, and then they have to back it up while pulling on, and they just couldn't get it in, and it delayed play.
Okay.
So a couple minor league moments at the game. They are in Minnesota for I believe 3 games, and then we come home over the weekend and play the Cardinals in 4.
So it feels like that feels like a lot of American League teams. A's and Twins are both American League.
Well, we started our season off against Houston.
So are they doing more interleague play then this year?
Yes. So that's one of the new additions. You do less in-division games, or last year, I suppose. And you play, I believe, every team in the majors every year.
Okay.
And then if like we're playing the Twins in Minnesota this year, next year they'll come to New York.
Interesting.
And you sort of do an every other year sort of thing with where you're at.
Okay.
I like more division games because I think it creates rivalry, it creates a little bit more drama, a little bit more bad blood between teams. I think that's fun.
Yeah. So, but does that even out? Does it even out the schedule by playing every team? Well, I guess, but if you're in the same division, like it used to be like, okay, so the NL East, they would play, like their interleague would be like AL West, for example, or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
with some exceptions. So like the Cubs would always play the White Sox.
Right.
Mets would always play the Yankees because
Right.
there's some of those rivalries.
Yeah.
Now it's just every team every year.
Okay.
And they're either coming to you or you're going to them. I think NL still, you do both every year. So like we will play the Reds in Cincinnati and the Reds will come to New York.
Okay. Are you gonna go see your beloved Metropolitans in Cincinnati?
I got some tickets in Atlanta this year.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to do that. But maybe. We'll see.
I assume you're in Atlanta already for something else during that time?
Somebody gifted me tickets.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I don't follow baseball. So who has had the hottest start? Like,
San Diego. The Padres have had a very hot start. I believe they're 10-0 in San Diego.
okay.
The Braves have not. The Braves have been a bit of hot garbage as of late.
Yeah.
They had their big off-season signing, Profar, Jurickson Profar, got suspended for PEDs. 80 games.
Yeah, basically half the season, yeah.
And I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe he's not allowed to participate in the postseason.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that a new twist?
I think if you get a PED thing, I believe, again, I could be wrong, but I believe you're out for the postseason that season. Wow. So he can come back for the second half of the calendar year, but cannot participate in the postseason. That's at least my understanding of it.
Interesting.
So the Braves are looking tough right now. Phillies looked very good. The Dodgers have been a little middling, and they're supposed to be sort of this powerhouse that wins everything, and maybe they'll just turn it on at some point.
Yeah.
Let's see who. Twins have not been very good. I do know nothing about the Reds.
Okay.
Know nothing about the Guardians.
Now you just opened yourself up to a text from Nate in Ohio.
I'm sure, but I haven't said they're good or bad. Yeah. The torpedo bats. We've talked about those.
Yes, we have talked about the torpedo bats.
Those have been big this year.
Okay.
Mets are off to a pretty good start.
All right.
The bats are a little lagging, but the pitching has been phenomenal for the Mets, particularly the bullpen.
Okay.
Any other stories for you around baseball? I'm struggling to think of any.
That's okay. We need to talk a little NBA.
Well, let's do it. Playoffs start today?
Well, technically the play-in.
The play-in, not the playoffs.
That's right. They start tomorrow. Well, the day this episode drops.
Okay.
And so for those not familiar, in the NBA, in each conference, if you're one of the top 6 in the conference, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you're 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're part of the play-in tournament.
Okay.
And the way that works is the 8 and the 7 seed play each other, and the 9 and the 10 seed play each other. One game.
Okay.
And the winner of the 7 versus 8 seed game gets the 7th seed locked in. They're
okay.
in.
And so they would play
They would play
the 2
seed, yes.
Okay.
So the loser of that 7-8 game then plays the winner of the 9-10 game.
Okay.
And the winner of that second game gets the 8 seed,
Okay.
which would play the 1.
Okay.
Okay. So play-in tournament in the Western Conference, you have Golden State, the 7 seed, playing Memphis. And you have Sacramento, the 9 seed, playing the 10 seed Dallas.
Okay.
And then in the East, you have Orlando playing Atlanta. That's the 7-8. And the The 9-10 is Bulls Heat.
Okay.
So in the East, let's stay there for a minute. The Cavs are the 1 seed. They've had a phenomenal year.
They've had a very good year, yeah.
And your beloved Knickerbockers are the 3 seed.
That's correct. And Boston's the 2.
Yes. So we don't know who Cleveland and Boston will play yet because they play the winners from the play-in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And the Knicks are locked into playing the Pistons,
Yep.
which would have been a phenomenal 90s matchup.
Yes.
And the local team, the Pacers, playing the Bucks. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And then in the West, you've got Oklahoma City's the number 1 seed. Houston is the 2. And then the Lakers are the 3. So, man, I'll tell you what. The league office is praying hard that you don't get Oklahoma City and Cleveland in the finals. That's not going to move the national ratings at all. As much as I like the Cavs, and I think they've got a good shot this year of making the finals. So,
really, the 1, 4, or 5 would be tough, right? I mean, Cleveland, Indianapolis, or Milwaukee.
Yeah, those aren't big markets.
Yeah,
and those teams don't tend to have big draws outside of their local areas.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, Oklahoma City's not going to draw.
No.
Minnesota wouldn't draw at the 6. Denver doesn't really draw for the 4 seed. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Lakers, Houston certainly draw.
Yeah. All right, John.
I'm not sure the Clippers would draw either.
No.
Despite being in LA.
Yeah. All right, John. We need to move on here.
Okay.
So since this is the week of Easter,
Holy Week
coming up. Yep. We thought we would work through the traditional 7 last sayings of Jesus from the cross.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So you can hear John's enthusiasm for this right through your speakers.
Got attacked by the yawns there.
Need stronger coffee. Apparently the stuff we serve over here in the seminary is just not cutting it.
Middling, yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's the same stuff I serve anyway.
Yeah. So these are sort of a traditional listing of Jesus' last sayings from the cross. And let's go ahead and work through these, and we'll just kind of talk briefly about each of these. You want to do the first one there?
Yeah. Matthew 27:46. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. I don't know if I got it.
It's so appropriate that you read that.
Yeah, I got like halfway through it and went like, oh, man.
Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani.
Sabachthani.
Yeah.
Okay. That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah, so when it says about the 9th hour, we're talking noon.
Okay.
And that'd be 3. Sorry, it'd be 3 in the afternoon. Because it starts at 6. Yeah. So middle of the afternoon, and this is, coming towards the very end here, right? So Jesus is quoting an Old Testament passage.
Psalm 22, right?
Yes. So Psalm 22. Those are the opening lines of Psalm 22. And as a result, it's fascinating because there are multiple allusions to that psalm all throughout the crucifixion accounts. So the things like they divide up his garments, even the language of the crowds mocking him draws language from Psalm 22. So it's pretty clear Psalm 22 was a significant shaping feature. And the fact that it's Jesus saying it, it's almost I like to frame it as this is Jesus almost giving a sort of hermeneutical key to what's going on. Like, I'm going to quote Psalm 22 and expect you to catch the rest of what's going on here.
I've heard some say that Jesus perhaps would have quoted the entire psalm.
It's possible. but I don't know that we have enough evidence
Okay.
to say that with much confidence.
But regardless, he's strongly alluding to the psalm here and obviously intends for you to go read Psalm 22
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
and to see the context of what's happening and what's going on here.
Yeah. And the idea is here that as this hour approaches, you have the Father, in essence, pouring out the wrath, his wrath, that we deserve for our sins on him.
Yeah.
And so he is, and again, you have to be careful how you think this through theologically, but there is some sense in which there is, in which, you can't just say, oh, Jesus is just sort of kind of saying this when he's saying, why have you forsaken me? Like, yes, at a divine level, there's no rupture in the Trinity. And yet Jesus is also fully human. So he's experiencing separation from God as one who has had our sin imputed upon him. And so it speaks to that reality that Jesus is, in essence, he becomes a curse. He becomes accursed because of our sin.
You want to move on to the next one?
Well, if we're going to get through 7 of them,
Yeah. Do you want to tackle the next one? Hold
Sure.
on, let me read the third one. Make sure there's no weird words. All right.
think you're
Yeah.
okay.
Go ahead.
Second one from Luke 23:34. And Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they cast lots to divide his garments.
Kind of referring to
That's
Psalm
another
22.
Psalm 22 allusion. There you go. But the Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Okay.
Who's that in reference to?
Who's he asking the Father to forgive?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think that context helps you limit that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's essentially those involved in putting him on the cross.
Jewish leaders would fall into that.
Roman soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
Disciples abandoning.
Yeah, though I think there's at least some that are there at that point, watching from a distance. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a wonderful window into the heart of Jesus. That even in the midst of the height of his suffering, his posture is to forgive.
Does and they cast lots help us understand who the forgive them?
Maybe,
But not necessarily. Doesn't
Not necessarily.
demand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if I remember right, I think there's also a textual variant issue there that suggests that there's a possibility that's not an original statement. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at that.
Nothing like text criticism on the pod.
Yeah, everyone loves a deep dive on that. Let's do number 3.
Number 3, Luke 23:43. And he said to them, truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise.
Yeah, he said to him,
What did I say?
them.
Excuse me. Him.
Pronouns matter.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, I mean, this one obviously in reference to the thief on the cross.
Yeah. Yeah, the one who seems to get it.
Yeah, at least at a minimal level. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Luke is the only one who mentions the repentant thief on the cross, right? The other Gospels mention that there are 2 that Jesus is crucified between, but only Luke records that one of them has a sort of epiphany, realizing, hey, wait a minute. And it's in response to the other condemned criminal basically joining the crowds and saying, yeah, like, come on, get us down from here. If you're really the Messiah, like, get us off of these crosses and save us. And that seems to trigger in this other criminal, like, hey, wait a minute. Like, you and I deserve to be here. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And, he basically says, remember me in your kingdom. When you come in your kingdom, remember me. And so it's a simple faith, right? It's not this sort of highly nuanced, developed theological understanding of who Jesus is, but it's a simple faith that says, I believe Jesus is the Messiah, and I believe that he's not in the wrong here, and my hope is fully in him. My only hope of being right with God or being accepted before God is being connected with that guy somehow. And so, yeah, you have Jesus' words there of, today you will be with me in paradise.
All right, you want to do number 4?
Sure. This is Luke 23:46, so just a few verses later. Then Jesus, calling out with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. And so obviously, I don't know that I got these. The site that I got them from, I don't know if this is sort of like the traditional order. Maybe it is, because based on John 19:30 where it fits. But in any case,
Sure.
Yeah. So what do you see in there in Luke 23:46?
Sort of a giving of himself up to the Father.
Yeah, and I think it's an emphasis on he is in control. To use language borrowed from John, he's the one who lays his life down and then picks it back up.
Yeah.
So even in this, he's not a passive victim. He is a sacrifice for the sins of his people, but he's not a passive just, well, I'm here and now everything's just happening to me. He is still sovereignly, I lay my life down and I will pick it back up again. So it even just shows in the midst of what seems like the height of defeat, right? Everything the disciples think that they were hoping for is falling apart as Jesus is now dying and on the brink of death. That it's a reminder of Jesus' utter sovereignty in the midst of this. So,
we ready for number 5 here?
do it. Yep.
All right, John 19:26-27. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, Woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciple, Behold your mother. And from that hour the disciple took her to his own home.
Okay.
I don't think this saying is necessarily talked about quite as much.
Probably not.
It's a little curious. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, the beloved disciple is almost certainly one of the Johns. There's so many Johns in the New Testament, as well as even in the first century. So,
In the modern world, there's a lot of us.
yeah.
Probably not referring to one of the modern ones.
No. And ultimately, I think what you have is it's a sweet glimpse into Jesus' care for his mother, as he's the oldest, and his earthly father, not really his earthly father, but the one people thought was his earthly father, Joseph.
Sure.
Is almost certainly dead by this point.
He's passed away.
Yeah. And so it's a very touching sort of expression of Jesus' care for his mother. And, church history seems to indicate that from that point forward, John did take care of her. And they both lived a good long time after Jesus' death and resurrection. And so to me, it just strikes me as a sweet expression of his care for his earthly mother. Do you have other thoughts on that?
No, I'm really curious. I mean, my thoughts virtually matter nothing. You're the published author here. Your words matter. Do you want to do number 6?
Yep. This is John 19:28. After this, Jesus, knowing that all was now finished, said to fulfill the scripture, I thirst.
I don't always know what to make of this one either, other than it's a display of his suffering and humanity. Mm-hmm. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I do think it's that. If I remember right, that's either Psalm 62 or Psalm 69. I can't remember off the top of my head which of those it is. But I think it is intentionally designed to help you connect Scripture as what to connect what Jesus is doing as the fulfillment of Scripture. It does show the extent of his suffering, but yeah, I think it's a way of highlighting his humanity. And it's interesting how the soldiers respond, because they give him a beverage that's basically doesn't really satisfy your thirst.
So I think this is what you're referring to. Psalm 69 verse 21.
Yeah.
They gave me poison for food, and for my thirst,
Yeah.
they gave me sour wine to drink.
Yep. That's it. All right. Last one, John, number 7.
All right, John 19:30. When Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and gave up his spirit.
Yeah. So again, it's similar-ish to
Luke 23.
yeah, but the pointed way that John expresses it, right? It is finished, tetelestai, I think highlights the completeness of what Christ has done.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, some have tried to link this to Psalm 22. Psalm 22, verse 31, the final verse, "They shall come and proclaim his righteousness to a people yet unborn, that he has done it," which in Greek is pretty close to "it is finished." So some have seen an allusion to Psalm 22 there. Maybe not. In any case, it is a striking, definitive statement that what Jesus set out to do, he has accomplished. And theologically speaking, of course, it speaks to the sufficiency of what Jesus has done for us, that we don't add anything to it. We don't add good works. We don't add even our sorrow for sin. The only thing we contribute to our salvation is the sin that makes it necessary. And we receive the fullness of what Christ has done for us. And so, it's a beautiful – it's one of those fun Greek words that I like to teach people, tetelestai.
Tetelestai.
It is finished.
Perfect tense?
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Yep.
It is in a state of being finished. Yeah. So, Any final thoughts on these 7 statements? I mean, they cover a lot of ground.
They do. And
it's not like this is comprehensive. He says other things from the cross.
Yeah. No, I don't think I mean, it's good to just read through them and engage with them even just a little bit here.
Yeah, so I mean, any one of these could be expanded into a Good Friday message or something like that. So, in one sense, every Sunday is Resurrection Sunday.
Yes.
But there's a value to picking one particular Sunday a year and saying we are going to draw
particular attention
to this reality.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Any other thoughts on this? Or are you ready to move on?
Let's move on.
Okay. Time now for This Day in Sports History.
All right, This Day in Sports History, April 15th.
Tax Day.
Tax Day.
Something that's meaningless to you.
Not meaningless. It's still in my head, you know.
Okay, but I mean, it has no practical implications on your life.
I mean, my taxes have been done for 10, 12 days now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, by somebody else.
By somebody else, yeah. I did very little.
Yeah.
I mean, I collected the mail and uploaded it to the website.
You contributed nothing to your taxes other than the documents needed to file them.
Yeah. There's a sermon illustration there.
Yes. Shout out Scott Sloat.
April 15th, 1947, Jackie Robinson becomes the first African American to play in the U.S. Major League Baseball for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yep. Big day.
Big day. Great movie. Have you ever watched that?
I have. It is 42? Good. It is a good movie.
It's a very good movie. I thought Chadwick Boseman played Jackie, and I thought he was well cast. He even practiced the swing to make sure his swing was right. Great movie.
Yeah.
April 15th, 1963, the 67th Boston Marathon was won by a Belgian in race.
What was that Belgian's name?
Aurélie Van Drijse?
Van den Driesch.
I think I'm pretty close.
Van den Driesch.
Anyway, he won in 2 hours and 18 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Boston Marathon that I could have put in there. So
Okay. So you picked a weird name.
yeah, of course.
1968, Houston Astros beat the New York Mets 1-0 in 24 innings at the Astrodome. Starting pitchers Tom Seaver and Don Wilson pitched 10 and 9 innings, respectively, in a game that lasted over 6 hours.
That's a long baseball game.
That's a very long baseball game. That was back when the Astros would have been in the National League.
That's correct.
And would have been in the same division as the Mets.
And in the Astrodome, like the original Astrodome.
The original Astrodome, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1989, Hillsborough disaster. 96 are crushed to death. Sorry, I said that with way too much enthusiasm. I hadn't read the full sentence. And 766 injured at the Hillsborough Football Stadium in Sheffield, England, during an FA semi-final between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, people think that, like college football fans are crazy in the United States. And there's an element of that. But like European soccer, international soccer is at a whole different level. I didn't learn this until probably, I think when I went to England a couple years ago. In these stadiums now, when you buy tickets, you have to sit in a section for your team. Like you can't
To prevent fighting.
I guess. Like in an American, you go to a college football game. If you're an Ohio State fan, you're going to out to Oregon to watch them play. You can buy any ticket you want.
Yep.
That you can get, and you might be surrounded by Oregon fans. But that doesn't happen. Like they basically have cut that off in the UK.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
And I will say, in the States, we don't have a huge issue. Like it's not like I wear a Mets jersey to a Reds game and I'm getting in a fight with somebody.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's more of a English soccer thing.
Yeah.
91.
Yeah.
1991. Magic Johnson sets NBA record for career assists with 9,898.
I want to say John Stockton passed him. I don't think Magic Johnson has that record anymore.
That sounds right. John Stockton seems like the guy that would have that record. By like 96, 97, would have surpassed him, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Because they were both on the Dream Team.
Yes.
And that was right at the end of Magic's career.
Yes.
But more toward the middle of Stockton's career.
That's about right. Well, 92, I think, didn't Stockton probably play till like 2000 maybe?
That sounds right, yeah.
Okay.
2019.
Do you know where Stockton went to college?
I do not.
Gonzaga.
Did he go to Gonzaga?
Yeah, he was one. That's one of those weird. Like he went to Gonzaga when Gonzaga wasn't anything.
Catholic school, right? Gonzaga.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, at some level of affiliation with the Catholic Church.
Yeah, like they got to have a priest as president.
Oh, do they?
I have no idea. I'm asking.
I don't know.
I know Notre Dame does.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, you have to be a priest to be the president. 2019, L.A. Clippers overcome NBA record 31-point deficit to score an improbable 135-131 Game 2 playoff victory over the Golden State Warriors in Oakland. Shooting guard Lou Williams has 36 points.
That's impressive to come back from 31 down.
That is.
All right. So who do you like here, John? I'm assuming we can rule out the Hillsborough disaster.
I said that far too chipper for it to be what we choose today.
Yeah. And you're not going to go with Aurélie Van den Driesch.
No, not going with him. I mean, I really like Jackie Robinson. That feels like the most monumental one that's out there.
Yeah.
Lou Williams is very, very good.
He is very good.
So I don't know.
I think you got to go with Jackie.
I think you got to go Jackie Robinson. Yeah.
One thing you liked.
All right. Well, I was watching Mets baseball yesterday afternoon, and I thought of you. And so I thought I'd throw this in here. The A's have a reliever by the name of Jason Alexander.
Hey, does he look like George Costanza?
No. But the Mets broadcast said, and the A's are bringing in George Costanza out of the pen.
Of course.
And then they flash up Jason Alexander, his name. And then that led to 2 or 3 Seinfeld references through the next inning and a half while he pitched.
Interesting. So my wife and I are watching Chuck, which I've talked about in the program last night. And there was an indirect Seinfeld reference. Chuck,
Really?
Yeah, Chuck goes to he's looking for a job. And one of the places he interviews at, Vandelay Industries. And they don't say it. It's just like, they show like they put it on the screen below, like Vandelay Industries. I'm like, oh, wait. And in that same episode, they had the actor that plays Drago in Rocky IV.
Yes.
And so they had a bunch of Rocky IV lines sprinkled in there as well. So
I'll also mention, I thought of yesterday at church, the Potter family came up to me at church and said what big fans of the program they are.
Oh, the Potters are great.
And so I thought I'd give them a shout out.
I mean, their only flaw is that a couple of them root for the team up north. That's the only – other than that, they are – and there are some Ohio State fans in that family. They are a split family.
Well, Steve turned to me and said how much he enjoyed it. And his daughter's next to him and goes, "You're the other voice?"
You're the other guy. Forever known in our church as the other guy.
The other guy.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go with this past weekend we had my oldest son, John, in town to celebrate his birthday. His birthday was a week ago, but couldn't make it work that weekend. So this past weekend he was in town, had a lot of fun hanging out with him and getting to meet his girlfriend, which was nice.
Oh, nice.
And then Jake and Autumn were around as well for so Saturday was a full day. So they went off and did some disc golfing. We did some bowling. I haven't bowled in a long time.
You used to bowl every year with the mentor group.
Yep. Haven't done that for a while now. Yeah. And I will note that Kate and I won as couples.
Oh, nice.
2 of the 3. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very excited. And then, just fun to hang out with them. And then they joined us for church on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but a lot of fun. And then this is more than one thing I like, I guess. But hey, it's our podcast. We can do what we want.
We do what we like. Yeah.
We also had in town a Grace College legend who stayed at our home for the week. Her and her husband. I won't mention their names.
Gotcha.
For potential security reasons, but they were in town. It's good to catch up with them and got to hang out with their 2 little kids.
Nice.
Yeah. So that is our one thing we liked. All right, John, we have talked about the Masters. Hello, friends. We have talked about the 7 sayings of Jesus from the cross. We have talked about Jackie Robinson. We have talked about the other Jason Alexander, not George Costanza, pitching for the A's. And we have talked about celebrating my oldest son's birthday. And so I think, by definition, we have covered our various and sundry topics. And so all that's left to say is, until next time, the Lord bless y'all real good.
Later.